planning this, but let's just stay here for a night and go check out the park tomorrow. Then we'll get the RV fixed and we'll be on our way to Colorado. And so they all agree. They stay the night, and the next morning they head over and make some furniture.
Eating
It was a very hot day.
plate, right? Is it chewing on the plate, basically, trying to grind his teeth?
They ended up just sitting at the visitor center. No one really wanted to actually go walk around. But Dale was an avid hiker, and he didn't like the idea of just sitting around all day. And so at some point, Dale just says, hey, I'm going to go stretch my legs and walk this trail here down to the abandoned city ruins. There was this city that had been built
Pizza squirrel.
that lots of tourists would go check
Dinner
out.
served.
And so his wife and they go that night. They say, okay, we'll see you in a little bit. Dale was off. Dale made it seem like it was going to be a very quick trip. And so when he didn't return,
Who's this, Mr. Lato?
decided,
Mr. Ballon?
Hey, you know, our
Mr. Ballon.
he went hiking down that trail there towards the woods, and we haven't heard from him. We can't get in touch with him on the phone. You know, can you guys?
And this is Mr.
The
Peep.
Rangers actually were not concerned at all. They said that we've never had anybody go missing for more than a few hours here. It's pretty hard to get lost. There's lots of tourists here, well-marked trails. Just give it a couple more hours, and he doesn't show up, then we'll go out and look for him. But after about an hour, and we still haven't seen him, so we really pressed the issue with the Rangers, and they would go looking for Dale. And of course, they couldn't find him. But they found a number of tourists that had seen him on the trail that he said he was going to be on. They didn't even talk to him. He's a very energetic, charismatic guy. And they would say that he seemed like he was just another tourist enjoying his time at the park. There's nothing odd about his behavior at all. He was walking towards the area where he had told us where he was going. While that information was certainly useful, they still couldn't find Dale. And they were really fighting against the elements on this one. The temperatures were over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, had been all day, and Dale didn't have any water. So they were really having time to find him. So within 24 hours, there's this huge search that's launched for Dale. And interestingly, in the first 24 hours of this
little
search,
hip hops.
a woman was walking along the trail that Dale was on. And she remembers hearing
Wrap you in your
a
blanket.
male voice yelling for help. And so she kind of looked over the edge. She couldn't see down below her. She was
Instead
on
of a
the
pig in a
cliff,
blanket, it's
fearing
a
that if she
squirrel in a
didn't look, she
blanket.
might fall and become a
Right?
victim. She went back to the Rangers and said, hey, here's the area I was in. I heard someone yelling for help. You should go check it out. And the Rangers said that actually we've been getting that report yesterday. But when we went to look in that area, we couldn't find it. There's no one over there. So while it seems very likely that that person calling for help was most likely Dale, we don't know for sure because they were never able to locate who was asking for help. And to this day, we have no idea where Dale is. There's been no shred of evidence to indicate where he went. He just vanished. If you enjoyed today's story, if you haven't already, please sneak into the like button's house and replace all of their salt shakers with sugar. Also, please subscribe to my channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of my weekly uploads. So I'd love to get your reaction to these 3 stories.
Whoa.
Nice. Bounce off the phone like Mortal Kombat.
His world is 3D unlike ours.
Missing 411 phenomenon as documented by David Paulides. Then you should check out David Paulides and his team at their YouTube channel.
That's right, you should check out David Paulides and his team and Canon Missing.
Below to all of their work. Also, I have a missing 411 playlist that you can save and watch that as well. If you have a story suggestion for me to use on this channel, go to our subreddit, which is just Mr. Ballin. It's linked below. It's a place where you can drop your story suggestions. And if I intentionally use your suggestion, I will absolutely credit you. If you want to get in touch with me, you can direct
Is chewing on it?
Oh yeah. Loves my fake nails.
Because when he gets my nails in his mouth, he doesn't chew on it. Like he puts his teeth on it, but he doesn't actually chew.
Some combination. Just know I'm incredibly thankful for your support. And until next time, see you.
See, I'm scratching his back and he makes those noises.
Every year, hundreds of people go missing inside of national parks and forests all over North America. Of those hundreds, every year, there's always a few that go missing under very strange circumstances. And one man, his name is David Paulides, who's a former police detective, has made it his mission to investigate these strange disappearances. We're talking about people
Thank
that
you,
are
Peep.
in plain
But
sight
it's
of
your nail.
other people
Let's see.
that suddenly
Oh my
disappear.
god.
And there's absolutely no trace of them. It's like they just vanish.
Let's see. Can you compare? Can we see a comparison with the others?
And are found in locations that are
Oh my
seemingly
God,
impossible
huh?
to get to. And so these cases are explored under David Paulides'
It's terrible.
411. He's written numerous books, created documentaries around it. And so today I'm going to focus on 3 of these missing 411 cases that, in my opinion, are especially bizarre. And a closer example. If the missing 411 phenomenon is something you want to look into more closely, I would obviously tell you to go to David Paulides' statistics. I have all their links in the description. You can also just go to one of my playlists.
Did you eat this?
You brought it over.
There's a thing in this. This is a pearl line?
I guess. I don't know what it is.
I thought this was a Brazilian nut.
No, Brazilian nut is like a tan nut.
Or like a Macedonian nut, maybe. This is a pearl line. It's like a walnut.
Macadamians are round.
Okay, true. Good
Very
call.
brown.
Yes, you're right. Absolutely. I guess it takes a squirrel owner to know the difference between all the nuts.
I'm very good with nuts.
Yes, indeed. Anywho, yes, indeed. So, this is a pearl line, no? How about that?
In 1999, Alan Atadero was staying in the Comanche wilderness in northern Colorado with his 2 kids. He had his daughter, who was 6 years old. Her name was Jocelyn, and his son.
Then this autofocus.
They were at the Peep River Resort, which Alan actually owned.
It is not doing no autofocusing.
And Alan was up there to prepare.
Autofocus already, damn it.
Alan had recently divorced from his wife and joined a Christian singles group.
Where did he go?
Somehow it came up that some people in the singles group asked if they could.
I think he's behind the
River Resort with Alan and
what do you call it?
prepare
Hamster cage.
the resort for
No?
winter and
No.
free lodging so they could have a little.
The water bottle is back there.
Great, 'cause he really needed the help. As soon as
I don't
they
think it's in this room at all.
Christian singles members were talking about going to the nearby state fish hatchery. Jared and Jocelyn.
I see the curtains are pushed back a little bit. Oh, there it is. What you been doing, boyo? Don't show my phone, please. Don't chew on my phone. Sir, I said don't show my phone. I'd like to videotape you and tell you some war stories, if people are willing to. Yeah.
But without asking consent, instead of going to the state fish
Not having war
which is about 15
myself.
miles west of
God damn it! Give me my cigarette back. Give me my cigarette back. Let it go. Let it go. Thank you. Oh, this is the first time I got my cigarette back in one piece from him.
exactly what the timeline
One
is.
piece.
We know that Jared and Jocelyn were definitely
Get up.
the Christian
So I wanna
singles group.
get off of my hand.
Because at some point, the Christian singles.
We gotta put a white background when we're videotaping this. He disappears in here.
There you go.
Get off. Oh, I burned this this morning, didn't I? Yikes. Ow. Yeah, it's dangerous to smoke in the bed. Or this is dangerous when I smoke in the bed.
Well, it's not dangerous smoking in the bed. It's dangerous when you fall asleep smoking in bed.
Well, that's what happens when you go in the bed, you fall asleep. Not go, no, 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 no.
It's believed that 2 fishermen that saw Jared on the trail were the
Ow.
two. At some point shortly after Jared had made contact with these 2 fishermen, the singles group realizes they've lost track of Jared. They have Jocelyn, they've lost
So,
track of Jared.
he doesn't bite me. He has amazingly good bite inhibition.
One of the Christian
To the point that he doesn't actually bite. Anyways, as I was saying, since I wasn't ever in a war myself,
you know, off the trail, it sounded like a
like say, when the
gleeful, like they were playing with someone, like
Canada, US, invaded Afghanistan, I was on a soldier on neither side. It's the fact is that I grew up during another war that I think almost no one knows anything about. No one, at least here in the West, knows any stories about. This war went on for 8 solid years. It was the Iran-Iraq war. I was born actually in the first year of the war, and by the time I was 7 and a half or so, the war ended. And I can tell some stories from my personal experience. I got friends that actually attended that war. They were soldiers during that war. They were volunteers, and I got family that were officers during the war, and I got some first-hand. Yes, I'm coming. I got some first-hand accounts from them, or second-hand at least. But also, there are other ways that I can get a hold of information regarding that war, and that is to put the word out and maybe even open up a Reddit page and have people send me stories and I tell them. And oh, there's a hazelnut down there. This guy likes to hide food everywhere, of course. And yeah, it might make this watching this business here a little bit more enjoyable. And to start, I'll tell you guys the very first one right now. This is that's okay. I'll have myself. That's this one is regarding I think the second last year of the war. War ended, I think, the year 87 or 88. My dates aren't really. I'm not really sure about the dates, but the last 2 years of the war, China sold these Caterpillar missiles to both Iran and Iraq, so we were sending them back and forth to each other. And the way these missiles work is the more fuel you put in there, the less payload you can put in there. There's the payload is there's only a certain amount of weight this missile can carry. So if you're hitting a near target, you gotta you put in a little bit of fuel and a lot of ammunition at the tip. And if you're hitting a target like the capital city, the Tehran, which where I was at, then you would have to put in a lot more fuel. So once the rocket would land, the destruction would be a lot less. So the same rocket, when it would hit a border town, a single rocket, they were 12 meter long. It was a saying that a 12 meter long rocket hits a 6 meter wide street, and like the devastation was insane. It would all the houses there, unlike here in Toronto, all the houses are made of here are made of wood, plywood, and 2x4s and what have you. in Iran, the structure is made of the frame is made of I-beam, and the rest is concrete and bricks, and they're like the- they're like bomb shelters, each of them. So they don't take too much damage. The house itself doesn't get burning flames. It ends up like the paint on the walls could burn, like the curtain and the rug could burn, the furniture could burn, but like the actual walls and ceiling wouldn't catch fire. So yeah, both my parents used to work, and they used to leave us at my grandma's. My grandma was living at these high rises. That these high rises were built quite very solidly, and they weren't gonna come down that easily. But we weren't too worried about a missile hitting the high rise for the high rise to come down. Maybe like the unit that they had struck would take damage, and like people that were in that unit would die, but the rest, or like maybe the room where it would hit, people would die in that room. But it was more the fear that had come over the public. That was and like also the fact that you get to like his brag rights, that like Saddam Hussein would say, "Yeah, I'm bombing your capital," and like we would say, "Hey, well, we're bombing your capital," the Iranian government. So there wasn't actual any strategic reason to hit missiles that you can't really aim at like exactly at the city. They would send air raid to like try to hit factories or like government centers, and those weren't very often. There would be dogfights. I remember those. There was always anti-aircraft guns that would start firing. Air raids, sirens would go off, but when it would come to the missiles, like, there'd be nothing you can do about it. They're gonna come, they're gonna land. The anti-aircraft gun is gonna try to hit them as much as possible, but you know, they're like breaking up in the air. It was you pretty much had to let it come and hit and do its thing. They left this trail in the sky, yellow and white, and it would come in a straight line, in a straight pillar, but then like at some places it would be knots in there, as if like the rocket engines sputtering. And one of my memories is from when the air raid was going on. We were at my sister and I were at my grandma's. My uncles were all at that time, and my aunts were at my grandma's house as well as my mom's mom. And we would usually come to a certain room facing basically east, because Iran's west and the missiles are coming from the west. So we get in a room that's facing east, and hopefully there's no windows there for the glass pieces if an explosion happens close by, for glass shattering, falling. All the glasses were taped in a cross fashion in the middle anyways, for it not to shatter in pieces. And yeah, I remember one time that after the first few times that they would keep us, my uncles and my aunt used to keep us in the center rooms and like, like precious cargo. Once they realized that the missiles aren't really super effective unless it was to hit you, we were allowed to come and take a peek by the window. And I remember actually seeing one that flew by, and yeah, it's a sight that's I'd never forget it. It would come and like it hit the southern part of the city. Tehran is a huge city, heavily populated. I think at that time there was like about 9-10 million population in there, and so anywhere it would hit, there was for sure there'd be casualties. I remember that missile that I saw came and hit the ground. I remember its explosion. You could visibly see a little shockwave that would fly away from the explosion site, and that's the first. That's one of the first memories I got from the war, which is towards the end of the war. But like first hand, that counts as seeing the war. Otherwise, it was always on the news, and the propaganda of it was always in the schools and in the streets and all of that. But I was I think 6 and first grade. When I was 5, I went to first grade, and my sister was 7 when she went to first grade. So we were in like first or second grade, and we saw that. And I'll tell more stories next time. More exciting stories that are from friends and family. Until I get to hear I get to do some digging around and try to get some more exciting stories from the Iran and Iraq war. It's kind of a forgotten war in the West, but it's something on this I would never forget. Alright. Say bye, Mr. Peep. I finally found it. Hazelnut. Eating time, bye.